What's up? We're back. It's Full or Nothing.
Oh.
Host Johnny Robertson with me, as always, my two good friends, Jasper Grover and Edward Dunstan.
G'day.
How's it going?
Good.
I need to talk through this week.
Another Hawks loss?
Another Hawks loss. So I was thinking about this just before we jumped on air. Another Hawks loss, Bombers loss, and Cats.
Yeah. That's
When
right.
was the last time that happened? That back-to-back weeks of all our teams losing?
It happened. Did it not just happen? I thought it happened like...
No, but back-to-back weeks. Like I'm saying.
Sorry. Yeah.
Happened 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, Essendon lose all the time. So
I was going to say, Geelong is probably throwing that statistic out.
Yeah. But it's like the entire round's gone and coming. It's like almost every single game is, shall we say, an 8-point game. So
yeah.
Well, not sure about coming. There's at least one dud coming.
Oh yeah.
Well, Hawks Collingwood, that's not really going to have too massive an effect on ladder position.
Can't Hawks still mathematically make the top 8, or are they finally out?
No, we're finally out. I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, aside from that game, huge round ahead and just gone.
Huge round of upsets. 2017 round 7 is the only other time that all 9 games were won by the side sitting lower on the ladder.
Wow.
It wasn't to be, though. Unfortunately, Hawks could not upset the Saints and Richmond could not upset the D's.
Almost got there.
Other than that, nearly got there. A couple of retirements, a few retirements announced this week. The headliner being Buddy Franklin playing
Max Lynch. Right. Sorry. Yeah. No, Buddy.
nearly. No. And the other ones were, so I saw Aaron Hall announced his retirement.
Yeah.
Oh.
And from the Eagles, was it Shannon
Hearn? Yeah. And Max Lynch from the Hawks as well.
Max
Lynch. Household name.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who.
No, I think he's only played like 2 or 3 games, and it's his first year at the Hawks from the Pies, I think. But concussion related, he couldn't lay a tackle without getting a concussion.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Anyway,
and then Buddy. the other one that I wanted to. So just on Buddy, Jasper, did you have anything that you wanted to add to Buddy being the longtime Hawks player? Oh, and I've got a question actually. From the moment that Buddy was traded to the Swans, they did not win a premiership.
Thank God.
Was it worth it for them, do you think?
For Sydney, yeah, for sure. Like, he still played awesome. They didn't not lose them because of Buddy, for one. If anything, they were there a lot because of his help and the way he plays. And 2, like, he's the biggest name in football, or up there for most of his career, including all of his time at Sydney. So in marketing alone, it was worth it.
Do you reckon that GWS would have won a premiership had he gone there?
That's a good question.
What was the opportunity against the Dogs in 2016?
2016, they were in the Dogs prelim next year as well, and the grand final in 2019. And they're in the semi-final in 2018 and 2020.
I mean, that has bigger what-if things, just because, like, Jeremy Cameron, what happens with him? Does he develop in the same way if Buddy's...
Right.
They become the best, I mean,
they could do. Like, obviously, Jeremy Cameron can work with a dominant key forward.
Yeah.
But maybe he would stunt his development. Who knows? But... I mean,
stunts his development, like he shrinks in size.
Yeah, we'll give him some cigarettes. And
did you hear though with Buddy that he didn't do like any media on the day he retired or something like that?
It seems
I mean, he's a low key guy. He's not like he's boisterous on the field, but he's not like a flamboyant character off the field, really.
It is interesting thinking about that, how like players can have this kind of on the field personality, and then off the field they can be totally different. So you kind of assume that on the field they're like,
that's who they are.
That's who they are.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of players are like, some players who are like really rough and like vicious and aggressive and this and that. It's like you get off the field and they're like, oh yeah, I'm also doing my like PhD in neuroscience or something like that.
Well, like... not too many AFL players are saying that specifically.
Many have. No, but like, there was this player at Essendon called Heath Hocking, who looks like a real, man's man. And like, and you get off field and he's like really eloquent and articulate and like, you know, kind of, just kind of really nice sounding dude.
I'm sure that is very common with footy players, but like Buddy more than most is especially boisterous and cheeky somewhat on the field.
Cheeky?
Well, yeah, like he loves having a grin and like getting one up on the opposition team, like getting into the opposition players.
Cheeky to me is like, you know, going up behind someone like pulling their shorts down.
How often does that happen in a game? I'm talking about behavior that actually happens in a game, not these ridiculous scenarios that you dream up in your head.
Like cheeky, like a clown.
Like a clown.
That's what I'm saying. Your description is just way off.
No, your interpretation of my description is way off. I've never gone to the circus and gone, oh, just a cheeky clown. Sorry, this is getting way too right.
Oh, shit.
Do you have a favorite Buddy moment? Or was it just that one just gone?
There's so many. Like, it's hard to stick it down to one. It's probably that time that he put on that massive wig and the red nose and wore those really big shoes.
No, you're thinking
it was really cheeky when he did that. Or that he rocked up to the game in that really tiny car. But actually, kicking 100 in a season is pretty special.
Yeah, I meant more from when he was at the Hawks, but no, we'll go.
That happened when he was at the
Hawks. Oh, that's right. I'm getting.
You're thinking of the 1,000.
100's more impressive than 1,000.
I think my one of the best moments I remember from Buddy was, I think it was in the 2011 prelim, and he kicked like a banana on
the boundary. We were watching that in Austria.
Yeah. And it was just incredible.
That was to put us in the lead with like maybe 2 minutes to go in the prelim. And then Luke Ball got another fucking. Anyway, we won't talk about that. We're not talking about Luke Ball's best moments. And then there's the goal against Cale Hooker, obviously, the 2009 goal of the year winner, running down the wing.
People forget that he kicked virtually the same goal afterwards. The next goal in the match.
Yeah.
So.
And then the last one is
from this like center square.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The hop over the Collingwood player. Like he hurdles a Collingwood player, takes a couple of strides, bangs it from the goal square, kicks goal.
But he did that Buddy. Like countless times, kicking balls from the center square.
Yeah,
it was unreal.
Kick.
Yes,
good player is my opinion.
17 years in the league, was a great career for him. How many premierships? 3?
Just the 2.
2.
Left after 2013.
Should have stuck around. Other news I wanted to get to: Port Adelaide were handed a please explain by the AFL for Alia colliding with who was the other Port Adelaide player?
No, can't remember.
The other guy. Anyway, he was subbed off with concussion, and Alia was sent back onto the ground. The medical doctor was told to that felt the need that they didn't need to do a concussion test. And it certainly seemed like at the time he did.
Well, it certainly seems like he did now because he's not playing this week because he's in concussion protocols.
Yeah, sure.
So that also doesn't speak great volumes about the medical stuff.
I mean, I didn't watch a whole lot of this game, but didn't like Tex Walker going to kick like 7 goals, 5 or something in the game? Like, would it, you know...
It had, and it's in my top 5 moments from the round.
Yes, well, what a great segue.
I was actually going to segue with acknowledging... Now, look, I've been really hard on Carlton all season long. From before week 1, I thought that they were absolute shit. Then they have been very good the last few weeks, and the fact is that they are in the top 8 and Geelong is not in the top 8.
Wow.
It doesn't look like Geelong will be in the top 8 for the rest of the season, and it looks like North could be in the top 8 for the rest of the season. So,
well, not to look too far ahead, but yeah, Carlton play Melbourne this week as well, which is a big game for both. And Carlton have won 5 in a row, at least 5 in a row.
I believe it is getting up to 6 in a row
6
now.
Yeah.
But we do play, the Cats do play Collingwood, so that's not great. Unless Collingwood are in like somewhat poor form at the moment. Their first
well, they've had a loss.
Yeah, I know. But they, the Port Adelaide the week before, they only won by 2 points in that game. They did smash Freo, beat the Dogs. Would have just. No, it's not looking good. Not looking good.
Well, I mean, you're only 2 points out of the 8 at the moment. That's very attainable. Like, it's a tight race, but it's definitely not out of contention.
This is probably a more good way to put it, John. Have you started looking at the ladder predictor on AFL to work out whether Geelong can make the 8 or not? Because the level of looking at the ladder predictor is how desperate you are, but also how unlikely your team is to actually make the 8.
So I think even in the instance we actually win all 4 of our last games, we still need a bunch of stuff to fall our way. Like basically every team around us needs to lose. And that's not really happening at the moment. So with that said, my number 2 moment from the round was watching Charlie Curnow score 5 goals in the second half of the game for the Blues to beat the Pies. And I got to say, the only thing more satisfying than watching the Blues lose is watching the Pies lose. And so it was enjoyable. We were at the pub, Oppenheimer, on Friday night watching the game. It was spectacular. It felt like at any moment the Pies were going to come back. And there was even sort of a turning point halfway through the fourth where Jeremy Howe scored a goal. Kind of felt like, okay, this is the moment. This is where the Pies actually start their comeback. It's on. And then it wasn't to be. Charlie Curnow got a very... I didn't see a lot in it. The holding, I think it was it Darcy Moore holding on Charlie Curnow?
Yeah, or was it Nathan Phillips? I know they look the same.
Yeah, one or the other. And there was not a lot in it. And from there...
yeah, it was soft. I think it was technically there. I think, but it's the kind of call that a lot of forwards aren't getting, which I think is the point. Like, it's not that it was the wrong call; it's that everyone else doesn't get the same call.
Yeah. How are you feeling about the Blues?
They are in good form. It's hard to say. Like, this week will say a lot. I think about where they're at. Even if they lose, but if they lose in competitive fashion, that'll put them in good stead. But if they get thrashed again, then I think it shows that they're probably a bit of a downhill skier who've had a couple of good games here and there.
There's instances.
Yeah, I think the Pies game is... I was going to say, yeah, it was easy to pick holes in some of their wins before it, but the Pies, weren't in bad form. And
the Blues played the Saints this weekend, just quickly.
Yeah. I think, that's going to be an interesting game.
Sorry, keep going.
That's going to be an interesting game because Saints, they've been in pretty so-so form.
They've been bad. You can say it.
Well, they've been bad, but they still have won the games they needed to win, and they won against Hawthorn, which was they beat them last time. I think St Kilda's definitely capable of beating Carlton, but I think it would be a proof of their return to form if they kind of, pretty comfortably beat the Saints. So, yeah.
So, yeah, Charlie Curnow is pretty much out in front for the Coleman. That is for sure. Other notable moments from the round. So, yeah, the Pies from that game specifically. Sorry. So, Dacos, 28 disposals, 314 metres gained. Not a lot in it, though. Like, it wasn't like any one player in particular stood out. Even just based on sort of like box score. So, okay, so do you think the Blues will make the 8?
Yeah.
I think they do from here, yeah.
Still want to say no, but I think that their schedule's quite favourable, isn't it?
And they've got the best group type of percentage of the teams around them as well.
Yeah, Saints, D's, Suns, Giants. Actually, that's not favourable because Giants are on a roll. Suns are doing well. D's are good. Could be tricky.
It's not easy, but it's not that hard either. I think...
it's 50-50.
I just want to say yes, so more people say yes, so pressure gets on them, and then they don't. And then Essendon take their place.
Yeah, the draw comes into play here because they're 2 points. They're 2 points between GWS and 2 points above Western Bulldogs. So it's in an interesting position for them.
For sure. And Charlie Curnow extends his active game streak of kicking at least one goal in a game to 40 games.
Wow.
And is second with 19 games, and then Nick Larkey with 15.
So, okay, there's 4 games to go, right? And he's on 67 goals, but if they played each week of the finals, that would be 8 games, and he kicks, say 4 goals a game. He could theoretically get to 100. So that's, I'm just putting it out there.
We said this about Jeremy Cameron at the start of the season.
That died after round 3.
Yeah, it really dried up for him.
Yeah, it's going to happen for Charlie. He's on a hot streak, but good players have hot streaks. He's not going to be kicking 4 goals a game.
He's not going to be playing the West Coast Eagles every week.
So what, you think Carlton are going to make the grand final?
No, but I'm just saying it's like, because everyone's like, you can't kick 100 goals in a season anymore. But since they lengthened the rounds to 23, I'm like, well,
I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying it won't be done this year.
Well, let me hold you to that, Jasper.
All right, I'll bet you a 6-pack if you want.
I'm not betting anything on an extremely unlikely event. So,
the other standout game. Now, I didn't actually get to watch this game, Dogs Giants, because I was too busy watching the Cats lose to Freo. But 35-point deficit comeback for the Giants in the third quarter to beat the Bulldogs. That was at Mars Stadium.
Yeah.
The Giants' 7th consecutive win, and that is their longest of all time, beating their 6-game streak in 2016 from round 4 to round 9.
Wow.
Shows the kind of turn they've made halfway through the season. Like they're they're in another form. Like if they've been playing like this at the start of the season, they'd be top 3. But they for whatever reason, they've only won 1 more game than Carlton, but they feel more convincing than Carlton do through the same period of stretch.
Well, they're I think they have broken a record this year they have won in 9 different locations.
Yeah, I had heard that.
I had, and also with that, Callan Ward has now won the second most games at different grounds at 18 different venues.
Wow,
that's impressive.
Only Travis Boak and Paul Salmon are tied for 19 ahead of him.
Jeez.
Paul Salmon, weird one. Just
the fish.
Yeah.
Why was he called the fish? Anyway.
What do you mean? Because his surname's Salmon.
Oh, Salmon. Yeah. Yeah, just blanked for a second. I had a long day, all right? Anyway, so on the we were just talking about playing different games. We were talking about Giants. Toby Greene was incredible. Like, what a play. Yeah, he seriously is just amazing.
So I've got Toby Greene, the Giants captain, scored 5 goals in the game, including 4 in the third quarter.
Thank you, John Snows. That was, it's like he was amazing. Like he's just, he's a champion player who bobs up in the right place at the right time and kicks a goal from a place that, maybe 8 or 9 other players out of 10 would not be able to do it from, because he's such a good player to watch. He's an amazing player.
Especially when he's not karate kicking people in the face.
Only once every so often.
I think what's most impressive about it is there were some serious question marks before the season about him being captain and what would that mean for the club and the team. And Jasper, to what you were saying, it sort of makes he seems like he is the most mature version of himself that he's ever been.
He's definitely he's taken it on board, I think, and run with it, and it has impacted the way that he plays and approaches the game. Yeah, and it shows the effect that being captain can have on a player compared to the previous captain, Cornelio, who I think didn't seem to thrive under being captain. I think he looks better now that he's not captain, to be honest.
Yeah, Dane Boyle, anyone? Remember that stretch of time? But yeah, Lockie Whitfield, 36 disposals. Cornelio, just talking about 34 disposals. So yeah, he's probably better in that role that he's playing. Josh Kelly, 25. But so yeah, impressive. And there was a victory that the Dogs really needed as well. So
they looked flat on their feet in the second half.
The Dogs, I just want to have a look at their schedule for the run home as well. So Western Bulldogs will play Richmond tomorrow night. They've got Hawks, Eagles, and then they finish with the Cats. So some very winnable games in there for the Dogs. I think that they're a chance to make the 8 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the 8 now, and they're 2 points ahead of the Cats. So they need to win. They need to beat the Cats, especially, I think, is what it'll come down to.
Yeah, and that'll be at Marvel, or is that Cardinia Park as well? The Giants' run home will be the derby this weekend against the Swans, and they play Port Adelaide in Adelaide. They play the Bombers, and they finish with the Blues.
So with the Dogs, they are, I'd say, aside from them and St Kilda, are the ones I look at in the 8 and say, like, you guys, I don't think you belong there. Like, as a fan of a team who regularly over the last 10, 12 years makes the 8, but doesn't really belong there, I can say with authority that the Bulldogs look patchy as hell, and I reckon Geelong or maybe Sydney could take their spot. I'm not sure of that, but I feel like the Bulldogs, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not sure about them.
Then the Dogs are on. They look fucking good. They're not always on, obviously, because they're only just in the 8, but they are awesome to watch when they're on, and they can just win a game in a half of a quarter sort of thing. Like they can just kick a bunch of goals and then control the rest of the game, but they haven't done enough, obviously, to cement their place yet.
They haven't had any upsets this year either. They lost to the Swans a few weeks ago by 2 points, and other than the round 2 game against the Saints, which they got smashed, other than that, they've pretty much won all the games they should have won, and they've lost all the games they should have lost. Maybe the game against the Suns back in May. But
no, definitely against the game against the Suns. But I guess it shows a consistently inconsistent team, beating the teams that you should beat, not beating teams that you could beat.
They're 8-point favourites against the Tigers Friday night. So that'll be a huge game for them. Getting to my top 5 moments from the round. Another one. So the Suns ended a 9-game losing streak against Brisbane. And getting back to what I was saying at the start of the show, really was the round of upsets last week. I certainly felt like, based on having seen what happened to the Cats, but also like watching the Blues upset the Pies, watching the Giants upset the Dogs, although maybe it wasn't an upset anymore, and the Suns upsetting the Lions. It was like, when is it going to end? The Bombers I guess technically were upset by the Swans, and the Crows upset the Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it was actually on that.
Do you want to talk about the Bombers, Ed?
I don't want to talk about Bombers. I want to talk about Port Adelaide, because they are not looking good right now.
Yeah, they're reaching a whatever's the opposite of a purple patch. They're in that at the moment.
they're in a brown patch right now.
So they lost 3 weeks ago to the Blues. They lost by 50 points. They lost to the Pies the week before by 2, and then they lost to the Crows in the Derby. So I think you could make you could justify each one.
You could, but they were still top 2 fighting for until the Collingwood game. They were in neck and neck with Collingwood, and now they've fallen 2 games behind. And that Carlton game, I think, is the worst, obviously. But they had lost up until that Collingwood game, they'd lost 2 games all year, and now they've lost 5. So it's not great timing for them this end of the season.
No, they're like spluttering into the finals, because they're going to make it, but
they're right for a picking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I want to ask you something on that then. So they go to Cardinia Park this weekend.
That's
a lot. That's could be 4 in a row.
What happens if the Cats win that game?
Ken Hinkley's gone.
Yeah, Warren Tredrea will be just.
Kane Corns is in. Yeah.
No.
No. Kane Corns is in as coach.
Yeah.
He's hearing whispers about it.
That's going to be a huge game for both teams. Imagine if the Cats win that out, where that will basically keep.
You'll be back on them and saying they're going to make the finals.
Yeah,
I know. Can you imagine?
It is basically like if the Cats win, they're not only back in finals contention, but like they just had a couple of bad weeks or something like that. If they lose, it would it's would they be like 9 wins and 11 losses?
There'll be 9, 10, and
one draw.
Okay, it's still possible that they could make it, but if they don't win this week, it is unlikely. So it is
we play Collingwood the next week.
It is actually a must-win game. Like you guys have to win this weekend. So bit of pressure.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. I think we're going to be mostly healthy. I don't think we lost. Oh, no, actually, wait, we had terrible injuries on the weekend. So we lost Mark Suss for the rest of the season with a bad hamstring injury. Tom Hawkins also sustained a hamstring injury, but apparently it was low grade.
That means he's going to miss this week or
this week? Yeah, no, he'll be out.
That's a pretty big loss, but no Alira, I guess. So not that it's comparable, but like at least that's similar.
I'd say if there was one player we definitely didn't want to lose right now, it would be Mark Blitzas.
He's such a versatile player.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Other awesome moments from the round. I did want to give an honourable mention to the West Coast Eagles, who ended a 16-game losing streak.
That's crazy.
Could have been North Melbourne ending their 16-game losing streak.
That is also crazy. I didn't know they were both on 16-game losing streaks coming in. That should be more made of that. That's interesting. But poor North. I mean, it was the best case scenario for West Coast, really. They win a game, but they don't. They're still bottom of the ladder in the end.
So they're still in contention for Harley Reid.
Yeah.
But they don't want him because he's got too much. Apparently, he gets homesick, so he's not going to go there.
He'll go there.
No. Haven't you heard about this mega trade deal that's going to happen?
I'll believe it when I say it. When was the last time the first pick was traded? Especially when it's a generational player on the offering.
Mate, just go on to the conspiracy theory big footy forums and it's going to happen. All right.
I mean, you said the word conspiracy.
No, it's a big mega trade coming because Harley Reid gets homesick and North want him. And he's amazing, apparently. So turns games by himself, and
West Coast don't want that.
No, they hate that. No, but they could get pick 2 and a bunch of other picks and make up for it.
I don't know if there's any making up for it. It's like not picking Buddy in the 04, Richard Tambling.
But like West Coast is a basket case and they need a bunch of picks inside the top 20, so they can't just take one dude and expect it to turn around.
So you think that they'll trade back in order to get a bunch of picks?
I would say lock it in right now. West Coast will be trading the number 1 pick to North Melbourne for a bunch of other things.
I was thinking Gold Coast. They've got a bunch of picks in the first round.
My God.
I think.
Well, maybe them. I don't know. Whoever. Like someone.
Ali Reid.
So it doesn't matter. So he could go to the Gold Coast even though he's homesick.
No. I think he'll stay in Victoria. Sorry, John, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say, imagine Harley Reid on the Suns with Damien Hardwick coach. That team. Flags galore.
Lightning, yeah.
Harry Sheasel finished with a game-high 31 disposals.
And a great goal. A great goal assist, sorry.
No
one from the boundary he set up.
Yeah. Luke Juniak, 30 disposals, 566 meters gained, but it was the Eagles. And I believe they also kept North Melbourne goalless through the first half of football, I'm seeing. No. First quarter.
Maybe a quarter, yeah. I did not watch this game.
Not hard to do. No, I did not watch the spoon bowl.
I don't think many people did.
I did. It was exciting.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's just nice to see Eagles win. How do you think they'll fare against the Bombers this weekend, Ed?
Well, I mean, we notoriously, I think, don't play that great against bottom teams. So I think we'll win by like
You
4
say that about
goals
every
or something.
team at every position on the ladder.
No. You know what we play well against is teams around us, but that are below us just. Those like 4 teams below us, we always play well against them, but it's everyone else that we struggle with. So, you know.
Yeah.
Well, West Coast are only, 5 places below you, so they're not far off within that.
They're out of the range, though. It's that down 4 spots. So, we beat them. I think we will beat West Coast, but...
So with that said, do you think you can still make the 8?
Yeah, technically we can. Like, I just think it's...
Play the Eagles and then North Melbourne.
Yeah. So it's like, look, I think if Essendon's to make the 8, they smash the Eagles and smash North Melbourne, get maybe like 10%. Like they need to absolutely pulverize these 2 teams. And then hopefully, like Carlton did, turn their form around by smashing up on some teams. Play GWS, who's maybe just fallen, you know, if they play a couple more games, but like their form drops off a little bit, beat them. Mm-hmm. And then we'd have to obviously probably still beat Collingwood in the last game. So that is what has to happen for Essendon to make the 8.
So Essendon has to win 4 games in a row, you think?
I reckon, yeah, because I reckon it'll take at least, you know, some teams are on a draw as well. So it's like, I reckon it's either going to take 12.5 or 13 wins to get into the 8.
And I was going to shout out something, and I just have gone blank. So never mind. So that was the round just gone by. Crows had an awesome win over Port Adelaide. I did watch that over the Bombers. Sorry, Ed. That was a good game.
Mm.
And the Tigers did nearly get over Melbourne. I was watching that game as well. It wasn't until like the last 5 minutes when the D's decided to
that was a good game.
Yeah.
The Tigers were right there.
They were, but I'd say I don't know whether they've just kind of released the shackles a little bit on Melbourne being a super defensive team, but Melbourne's scoring capacity seems to have like greatly increased. I think is his name Tom
Harrison Petty.
Harrison Petty.
Yeah.
not the singer who's 66 years old or something.
You could say Harrison Petty was running down a dream on the MCG wing.
So a member of the Travelling Wilburys jumped on the football field. Anyway.
But he kicked, 5 goals? 6 goals. And hadn't he kicked like 4 goals all year or something up until that point?
Yeah, but he looked like a natural. He was really good.
Another game earlier in the year that was like amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love it when a player has a weirdly statistic anomaly, just like completely outside the scope of what they normally do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just before we move on from this round, the statistical anomaly was called out by me last week that Freo fucking beat Geelong in Geelong. How crazy!
I forgot to clip that.
Yeah, that was. No one saw that coming. Freo didn't see that coming.
Well, you saw it coming.
Geelong closed 50-point favourites.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, Freo has a good record at GMHBA or whatever it's called.
They do. They beat us last year and they beat us earlier in the year, as I was saying. We just...
Only seem to win a final there.
Holy crap. Alex Pearce just absolutely...
Had a great game. Played out of his skin.
In defense, I've never seen him play that well before, and of course it would come against us. And it wasn't even like Freo's forwards were playing particularly well, other than who's the
Michael Frederick?
Michael Frederick had an amazing goal.
Yeah,
and also it felt like that was we needed to kick a goal to be back in the game. I think if we'd kicked a goal because the ball was up in our forward 50, we would have been a great chance at winning. No, it was intercepted by Alex Pearce. It was sent back up the ground, and then Michael Frederick just from the boundary on the run, just the most amazing goal.
Yeah, that should be goal of the year.
Jai Amos is who I was thinking of. Just
great. He looks incredible.
He's awesome, that kid. And then Lockie Schultz.
It's so hard to impact as a rookie in his position as well, and he's doing it so well.
Yeah. We had like just no impact players. Tom Stewart like played well, but those
he didn't look. I don't know. It didn't look I felt like he got a lot of touches and had a lot of good game, but there was some iffy things that he did. I thought, it didn't look like his best game to me.
One thing that did come up on Twitter was he had 2 kicks smothered in the fourth quarter.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
And there was, there's actually a memo now sent out by the AFL to the umpires as a reminder that players are not allowed to move from the stand, or they have to stand on the mark, because apparently, like, there's some complaints that wasn't called. Now, I'm not saying that that's the difference between us winning and losing. It probably wasn't, but it was unusual gameplay behavior from Tom Stewart to have that happen to him. But yeah, that was just
Eddie wants exciting smothers removed from the game. He wants more harder enforced stand rules.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the stand rule. You know that.
So let's move on then. And with that, and we can get to Eddie's rules of the world for this week. That is
I'm going to intercept. I'm going to steal this one like Alex Pearce. I'm going to do my trivia.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
So, well, I can't kick for shit, so I'm not playing the forward line. So this week, Buddy retires. He was the leading goal kicker, active leading goal kicker. How many of the next top 5 to 10 can you name, do you think? Of the current. Yeah, Tom Hawkins. He's number 2. He's got 779.
Jack Rewalt will be in there.
Yep, 782 and 344 appearances.
Top 5 goal kickers.
Oh, you want top 5?
Yep.
Buddy Franklin, Tomahawk.
No, but Buddy doesn't count because he's retired. So
okay.
Jack Rewalt's all time now.
Jeremy Cameron.
Jeremy Cameron, 4th, 575.
Wow.
The other one I was thinking was Taylor Walker.
He is 3rd, 597.
Who are we missing?
I reckon. I reckon maybe Charlie Cameron.
No, you're missing an absolute gun. Unheralded.
Luke Bruce.
That is correct. 520 goals.
What's he doing there?
How many goals does he have?
520.
520.
Yeah, man. He's an absolute gun. That's what I'm saying. He's unheralded.
Also, okay, just quickly on this topic of goals. So we run out for Buddy's 1000th, right? And people complain that we don't run out on the field for we weren't never going to see a player kick 100 goals. We see players get 100 goals all the time. It's just over the course of a larger stretch of matches. Why don't we run out every time a player kicks their 100th goal? That'll solve this problem.
Just once they hit 100?
Yeah. Or 200.
And then 200. Yeah, every century. It'd be cool for a player who matches Buddy's output and kicks 100 goals in a season, because then he'll have twice crowds run out on the field in the same year.
Exactly. They go off and then they come back up.
Oh, yeah, in the same game.
Was that rules of the world? Is that?
Were there any?
No, that was trivia. Changing the rules. That should be, yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I take you now to rules of the world for this week. I want to ask you a question. This is trivia as well. So what do Travis Cloke, Brodie Grundy, and Adam Cerra have in common?
They all play for Collingwood.
I thought you would say this, Jasper. Of course, yes, that is true. But the other thing that is true is that they signed ludicrously long contracts and underperformed after signing them.
I mean, that is a very subjective thing. This is not. That is not.
And does that Adam Cerra play badly?
He's off at a different club. Like, that's a terrible signing by them, signing him for 8 years on multiple crazy money.
Yeah.
If I'm the Pies, it's a terrible idea. Why did I sign him? Same with Brodie Grundy, different club. Travis Cloke, he was never the same player after signing that deal. Eventually, they offloaded him to another club as well.
Well, which club did they offload him to?
Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah. Where's Adam Cerra?
Yeah, Bulldogs. That's their dumping ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I love, John, that earlier you mentioned Buddy Franklin. You might say...
It's weird that you brought him up in this episode.
9-year contract,
I do remember that. At
10 mil, 9-year contract, promoted the game in Sydney, blah, blah, blah. I would say played in 4 losing grand finals. I think the general idea here is they don't work.
Well,
what I'm saying here...
In defense, LeBron James has probably, I think, played in more losing finals than winning. Anyway, go on.
And I mean, I've always been a detractor of his. So talk about basketball on another podcast. Rule that's being influenced by the gig economy. I don't just want to decrease contracts. I want to get rid of them altogether and place all the AFL players on a casual agreement. So if they have a few bad weeks, maybe they're unpopular with fans, out, and no consequence. AFL teams these days, they don't have time to spend years on rebuilds. I mean, wouldn't you rather things happen right away? And so, conversely, if a player wants a trade, forget mid-season trades, you go midweek. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm for it. It would be hectic as fuck trying to keep track of who's playing where.
If your player just wakes up on the wrong side of the bed some days, like, fuck it, I want to leave. So.
If they accidentally go to the wrong training ground one day, like, fuck, I'll just stay here, I guess. Play for them this week. I mean, I'm for it. It's got... I'm stunned, speechless. I don't know how to. Without contracts, how does a team fill a roster? Basically,
no, you have a casual agreement that you play for them, but you can break it at any time. So. And vice versa.
Yeah, let's do it. Can we make it more like Uber, where you get paid per output? So per kilometer run, per goal kick, per touches.
Yeah, and it's that might lead to some just stat building in the back half of the ground or something with passing around and all that.
I think we could actually that rather than players have contracts based on their talents or skills. It's just all in bonuses and hitting targets and KPIs and metrics.
You know what would be hard though is if you're a lockdown defender and you barely get the ball.
I was gonna say the Max Hudson types are a bit stiff.
You know what we need? We need an algorithm, an algorithm.
We need more algorithms.
Yeah, we need algorithms that's sort a player's influence. That's not that stupid AFL player rating thingo or something. Because then we could down to them moving just 1 foot, we could understand that's the most complex play, how much influence they have had on the game. And if they have a very, really low influence, boom.
Bam. Yeah. Can we include social influence, like Bailey Smith? He's got all his Instagram followers or whatever.
100%. He would probably be the highest paid player
that media profile. Yeah.
We want them to build huge social media profiles.
I mean, if this was the case, I think Cats would have played much better this season if the money was based on effort.
Yeah.
Well, the problem in this scenario is Geelong's full of retirees. They're past. You need some Gen Zs if you're going to attract the gig crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Also, they would be complaining about the lack of contracts where teams like Hawks and Essendon would be like, this is great. I've got so much flexibility and opportunity. It fits in with my lazy lifestyle where I get up at 12 and I go and do something and, the Zoomers around town.
Bloody! Now we're just railing on Gen Z.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what you just said before is connected to my second way that I think the gig economy could improve our game. We've all seen the success of apps like Uber in making sure they're delivering a quality service. I was thinking that the members of the teams should be able to provide a rating of the players after every game and also of the team as a whole and the coach. So the club gets that so they can improve their entertainment and performance next week. And then I think the players should rate their coaches and vice versa after each game to make sure that everyone's kind of clear on how they're going via a transparent 5-star system. What do you think?
I both love and hate this idea, like I did the previous one. Sorry, John, I'll let you speak.
I was going to say I love this idea because I would love it if it was sort of like an American hospitality industry where you kind of all get paid like shit, but you get tips, so you can tip your favorite players and
exactly tip your favorite player.
Yeah, you loved doing that when you lived in North America, didn't you, John?
I fucking hate tipping. I wouldn't do it.
Weeks ago, Sam Durham kicks the winning goal against Richmond for the Bombers. Everyone is chucking him like $50, and he's like, maybe 5-10 grand richer. So
yeah, Alex Pearce on the weekend. I would.
Alex Pearce would be having the biggest night of his life.
That incredible goal from the boundary. I wouldn't tip that. Other people would, and that's what.
I think in this scenario, I reckon you've got to prove that you're a member of the club to be able to rate them. So there's some verifying there, but. Is it like Uber? Because, you review your driver, but your driver also reviews passengers. Yeah. So do the players get to review the fans who are reviewing them?
I was thinking that too. I think so. The fans as a whole in different sections of the crowd. Okay. And if someone is a really good fan, they get good reviews. And a good fan is like really enthusiastic and vociferous and, really out there and zany and everything. And so they get promoted to front row seats,
Yeah. So do we think Catman, the infamous cat-looking cat fan, would he have a high rating or low rating from the cat players?
High rating for dress, but apparently he's really racist. So,
well, I was gonna say that this would actually be great because at least no Collingwood fans would ever be at the front of the games. They'd all be
all very far away from the crowd. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love this idea as well.
Well, that is all I had for this week.
Banger ideas.
Yeah.
Bringing the AFL into the 21st century.
Another fantastic
love the gig economy.
Rules the world.
Yeah.
Got you as always. Okay, so let's get into round 21. There's 4 rounds to go. It's August. This is the home stretch. This is where the seasons are won and lost. Friday night, we talked about it already a little bit, but the Dogs at Marvel Stadium against the Tigers, who don't have to travel anymore because Damien Hardwick's not there. Any thoughts? I think the Dogs would come
Doggies, yeah. I would pick Doggies. If Richmond had to beat Melbourne, I would have tipped them, but it showed that, they just scraped over the line against the Hawks, even though there was a good comeback, but it was against the Hawks. And then Melbourne, they just kind of gave up in the last quarter. Well, not gave up, but they just they weren't able to maintain control and lost it against a better team. So I reckon it shows that they're a bit off the pace compared to a better team like the Dogs, even though they're thereabouts.
I tell you what, I know this is a rare tip. I don't know how much money you would get for betting on this. John, you might be able to help me, but I'm going to tip a draw between the Western Bulldogs and Richmond.
Let me look that up. You got an option.
I think it's going to be really close. I
would love to know the last time. I guess somebody's always betting on a draw on a game, so it's probably happened the last time there was a draw in AFL. But just the ballsiness of going, you know what, there's going to be a draw, and then it pays off. That would be incredible,
mate. Put money, Yeah, you might have been thinking, Jasper, about saving for a holiday or do this or that. Scratch that idea.
Nah.
Put it on a draw this weekend on Friday night.
All my life savings, I'll take it all out of all the millions of investments I've got.
Yeah. All that Doge bonk.
Sorry, Elon. I'm going to take my Tesla back.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't find it anywhere. But
it's that obscure.
It does exist. Typically, somewhere you can bet it. It's not recommended.
No,
it's like $51 or something. No, I think there's a standard, it's almost the same for every game or something like that.
Yeah, it would be. And $51 is not good enough to make that bet. But the Dogs are 8.5 point favorites. I think that they get that pretty easily, even though there's only 2 points between these teams. With the Tigers on 38 points on the ladder and the Dogs on 40. Next game, Bombers and West Coast Bombers are 50.5 point favourites. Ed, any concerns?
Yes. But I've already shared these. I think this is a danger game for us, but we could also beat them by 120 points. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I actually think that the Eagles do cover that 50 points just because I think they'll have a lot of confidence coming off last week.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a lot easier to cover not losing by 50 points than winning away from home. But yeah.
a huge game in Adelaide between the Crows and the Suns. Both teams sitting right there with each other. Adelaide on 12th and the Suns on 14th, and both teams can still make the finals, which is like the wildness of this season.
Could be a fun game. I think the shine of having a new coach is going to wear off for the Suns at some point.
Yeah, also Adelaide has been, aside from the GWS game, they've been virtually unbeatable. So I think Adelaide will do this relatively, I wouldn't say easily. I reckon this could be like a close game, maybe like Adelaide by 3 goals or something.
Yeah, we'll skip over Hawks and Collingwood.
What? I reckon, I'm going to tip an upset here. I reckon Pies by about 80.
I reckon this might sound... No, I'm not. I wouldn't tip Hawks, but I would
it's so crazy. Not even 80 could go that far.
No, but last season, I will say this about Collingwood. Last season, Collingwood beat North Melbourne, who only won, I think, maybe 2 games for the year or 3, maybe. Collingwood just beat North Melbourne.
Yeah, they had to come back.
Sometimes this, like Collingwood, because they're so attacking most of the time, I feel like they can let sides in a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Hawks only get beaten by like 5 goals or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're like winning at half time, but that's one, that's the way Collingwood kind of plays, is that they don't maybe not intentionally get behind, but they're confident that they can come back in the second half. And we've been thereabouts in many games. We were thereabouts last week, and then we were like 2 goals down in 3/4 time after being like 6 goals down against the Saints, but then we just let them bang heaps on in a couple of minutes and we're out of it quickly. And I reckon the same will happen this week. Yeah,
so I did tip Hawks plus 31.5 to cover that, because and it's to what you were saying, Ed, I just feel like Collingwood, they don't destroy teams. They never blow them out. They always keep games close. So I think over 5 goals, over 6 kicks, I think that's doable for the Hawks. But Saturday night, Geelong has Port Adelaide coming to Kardinia Park.
Huge.
I think that Port Adelaide win this fairly comfortably, but this is must win for Geelong.
Yeah, I mean, must and should win, really. Like, it's in Geelong, so we've got a big advantage there, I think.
It's not really the fortress, though, that it used to be.
I know, we say this every week.
I say that.
I bet it's still their home ground that's one of the better home grounds in footy.
I reckon this is going to be super close. I reckon no more than like 2 goals in it. I reckon this will be a cracker of a game.
And just a couple of other notable ones. So there's the Sydney Derby.
That's huge too.
Across the bridge.
The Battle of the Bridge.
Battle of the Bridge will be huge. Do you think so? Giants only 3.5 point favourites. Do you think the Swans have a chance to win?
Yeah, I reckon they've got a chance.
This is actually a game where I'm like, I reckon. So Sydney lost, Buddy, and Dane Rampy was pretty sore after last game as well. I think
Joel Amati has been playing some awesome football up forward.
Yeah, he's good. He had an amazing first half, and then he was just unsighted in the second half. But I would say this is actually a game I reckon the Giants. I reckon it'll be like close in the first half, but I reckon Giants will end up winning this like relatively comfortably, I reckon.
And just the last game worth talking about, the Saints, do they have any chance of beating the Blues, who are point favourites?
I think so. I think it's not. It would be an upset if they win, sure, but I don't think it would be crazy like Hawks beating Collingwood or something like that. It's not to that degree. So it's at Marvel, so both their home grounds, really.
Yeah.
All right. It's just a question of whether, because last time they played, Carlton smashed them all across the ground in the first half, but they didn't put it on the scoreboard. If they do the same thing again, I reckon St Kilda's a really good chance. But if Carlton, because they're in hot form, if they start like they have been playing, they will beat the Saints and could well beat them by like 80 points, because I think if they get on a roll, Charlie Curnow is the most informed forward in the competition. He's going to kick 100 goals, like I said earlier. So, I reckon if Saints are able to set up defensively and Carlton aren't on their absolute best, then I reckon they're a chance. But otherwise, I reckon Carlton could monster St Kilda.
It is crazy to say that the Saints are sitting 5th on the ladder. I just can't believe it. The Saints did win by 22 points in round 6 earlier in the year, and they also beat them last year in round 16. So, yeah, big game for the Blues. I think the Blues can pull it off.
Yeah.
I think it's just, Saints has just fallen off a little bit.
Yeah. I reckon Blues will win that.
Well, hold on that. Do we think the Saints are going to make the top 8? Keep their position in the top 8?
I don't think so. I think
they're 2 games in front of all the teams outside the 8, which I think at this point in the season with 4 games to go, that's enough, isn't it?
No, because go on, Jess.
Well, they've got Carlton this week, and then Richmond, Geelong, and Brizzy. So pretty tough run home.
Yeah, I reckon they
could lose all 4.
I reckon maybe they beat Richmond.
They'll definitely lose to Brisbane in Brisbane.
Yeah, I reckon really they've probably got, if they win this week. Absolutely. I reckon they probably win. If they win this week, they probably beat Richmond as well. Then they're in the 8.
Yeah.
But I reckon if they lose this week, it's down to Richmond and then like what else happens with everyone else. So I don't reckon they will though. I reckon they'll miss the 8 and Adelaide will replace them in there.
Ooh, Adelaide specifically.
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's like, I reckon they'll go out.
No, you've locked it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love Adelaide to make it. We're not too sure, but it should be interesting. So that's going to do it for this week for another episode. Exciting game of footy games ahead for this weekend. Jasper, you going to any games this weekend?
No, I'm going to the Melbourne International Film Festival on Saturday, so I can't go to the Hawks game. I know it'll be more exciting than seeing the Hawks get thrashed, probably.
I'll text you the scores, Jazz. Just remember, look at your phone during the movie.
I'll also turn the notification sound right up. I'll just have the brightness up way loud, and I'll annoy everyone else in the theatre. In fact, I'll just watch it on my phone in the movie theater.
Yeah, nice.
That sounds good. That sounds nice. I'm going to be watching Cats Port. Should be good. I wouldn't mind going, but we'll see what happens.
Go Dons.
It's probably already sold out. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Oh!